Hello everybody and welcome back to the Toast MMA YouTube channel. Today going to be hitting you guys with the Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira fight night predictions. Now, may have noticed didn't do a UFC 307 post-fight reaction. That's because besides the Pereira performance and the Buckley KO, didn't really think much interesting happened on that card, and I need to get on the timing better with the algorithm and just start pumping out those reactions either night of or morning after. So I'll try for this card, and we'll see what happens. But let's get into the video. All right, starting off with Clayton Carpenter versus Lucas Rocha. Now, this is an interesting one because these are both prospects that are both pretty good in my opinion, if you ask me. Although I will be going with Lucas Rocha. He is younger and has way more fights than Clayton Carpenter. And I think he's just going to be able to push the pace a lot better. I think if I'm not mistaken, hold on, let me check. If I am not mistaken, Lucas Rocha used to fight at bantamweight and is now moving down to flyweight. Yes, he did used to fight at bantamweight. Did he fight in flyweight in his Dana Contender Series fight? He did not, so he did fight a flyweight then. Okay, and he got a KO, so that's good. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Lucas Rocha. I think he's able to push more of a pace on Clayton Carpenter. Clayton's good too. Wouldn't want to take anything from him. I just think he's a little young, less experienced than Lucas Rocha. And yeah, gonna be going with Lucas Rocha for this one. Dan Argueta versus Cody Haddon. Now I'm going to be going with Cody Haddon in this one. Cody Haddon recently has been getting a lot of attention because he fought Steve Erceg on the regional scene. And I think he went to a split decision or unanimous decision with him, and it was like a really close fight. That's when they both fought at bantamweight, but that's still a really good performance to have. Steve Erceg was 6-1 at the time, and he was 2-0 at the time, so he was way less experienced than Erceg, and he still took him to a very close fight. So I'm going to go with Cody Haddon. Dan Argueta doesn't really have much finishing potential. He's had a pretty meh kind of career in the UFC right now. And I think he's just going to kind of follow the pressure that Cody Haddon's going to put on him. Now, moving on to Chris Barnett versus Junior Tafa. Now, my heart has an answer, my brain has an answer. But I'm going to always go with my heart. I'm going with Chris Barnett by KO. Now, is everything in this fight telling me that Junior Tafa should knock out Chris Barnett? Absolutely. Junior Tafa has crazy power in his hands. Junior Tafa has some very decent boxing. Chris Barnett does not have very good boxing and has been KO'd before and is also like 39 years old. But I love Chris Barnett. Love him so much. Wish nothing but the best for him. And I'm going to pick him. I'm going to pick him in this fight. I don't care. I don't care if Junior Tafa is the right option. I'm going with Chris Barnett. I'm going to go with Chris Barnett by KO as well. Moving on. Themba Gorimbo versus Niko Price. I'm going to go with Themba on this one. I think that he's just way more on stride right now. He's got a 3 to 4 fight win streak right now, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull him up real quick. Yeah, 3 fight win streak. I will say he's pretty old, though. He's 33 years old. And the UFC seems like they kind of want to push him a little bit because they keep feeding him cans. Like Takashi Sato, Peter Rodriguez, Ramiz. Niko Price is a bit of a step up. Like he could pose some danger on the feet maybe. But I think that Themba at this point has better stand-up and he can mix in the wrestling a lot better. So I could see a Themba Gorimbo unanimous decision or a KO. I can see him kind of mixing in the wrestling and scaring Niko a little bit. Yeah. Themba Gorimbo. Moving on to a featherweight bout, Jonathan Pearce versus Pat Sabatini. It's actually a pretty interesting one. I think I'm going to lean Jonathan Pearce in this one, though. I think the odds are very reflective on how this matchup is. Both kind of like middle of the range kind of fighters in their weight class. Pat Sabatini has some very good ground game, but he has like no chin. But Jonathan Pearce doesn't have much KO power to begin with. But I think the pace he can put on is going to help him. And I think if he can keep top position on Pat Sabatini, it'll negate a lot of his grappling. I think as much as he did lose to David Onama, I think that his performance against David Onama showed that he can put on a very good pace on someone and just kind of keep going. And I think that's what will get him a UD decision. I don't think he can finish Pat Sabatini. He could maybe get like a fluke KO because Pat Sabatini has no chin. But I think that Jonathan Pearce is probably going to win by unanimous decision. Moving on, CJ Vergara versus Ramazan Temirov. This is kind of just like a setup fight for this guy. He's getting one of the, what is he, Uzbekistan? Where's this guy from? Tapology has it. Let's see. I'm not good with these countries. Let me pull it up so I don't get it wrong. Yep, Uzbekistan. 17-2, 27 years old. CJ Vergara just is not on the right side of the cards here, man. He's just being fed. He's probably on a low streak recently, isn't he? Had a decent performance against Amabayev. Lost to Tatsuro Taira. Yeah. This is just not in the cards for him. He could maybe pull a fraud check off, going a second coming of Charles Johnson kind of run in flyweight, but I don't really see it happening. I'm going to go with Ramazan and Temirov. Chidi and Njokuani versus Jared Gooden. I'm going to go with Chidi and Njokuani. I just think that he has way more finishing ability than Jared Gooden has. And I think he was a middleweight, and he moved down, and he just has always had like instant start finishing ability that I don't really think Jared Gooden's going to be able to match. I think Chidi Njokuani by KO honestly is a good betting line. Don't take me for any betting odds. I'm not a professional bettor or anything, but yeah, I would go with Chidi and Njokuani by KO. A pretty shitty fight night card, Jesus. Abdul, I'm just gonna call him Abdul versus Josh Fremd. I'm gonna go with Abdul. Josh Fremd really just hasn't shown anything to me to where I could pick him for most fights. He just isn't like the greatest. I think he was the first one to beat Cedric Dumas, right? Yeah, he beat Cedric Dumas, Jamie Pickett, then got KO'd by Roman Kopylov, and then lost by unanimous decision to Andrei Petroski. Now, on the other side for Abdul, he has a lot of losses in the UFC as well, but they're a lot better performances if you ask me. KO's Niko Price was on this card. Gets KO'd by KS Williams, not a good look. Goes to a very close split decision with Joaquin Buckley, which is a very good win or performance in my book at least, because I think Buckley is a good fighter. He got thrown around by Joe Pyfer. He was just illegal blows to Josh Fremd. I mean, to what's his name, Cody Brundage. That was just kind of crazy. But I'm gonna go with Abdul. I just think that he has just a better overall ability as a fighter to win and more finishing ability. And if he doesn't decide to just pound in the back of Josh Fremd's head, Jesus Christ, then I think he'll actually get a win instead of a no contest. Moving on to Daniel Rodriguez versus Alex Morono. This matchup is actually kind of interesting because Morono is like the most basic fighter ever. Just is very, very by the book with his striking, with his grappling. Isn't staying out anywhere either. Was winning against Santiago Ponzinibbio until he got caught in third. Had a very close fight with Buckley. I just think that Daniel Rodriguez has the better stand-up. I just think that he has that over the edge over Morono. Morono may have better grappling, but I don't know if he has the that's the thing, is he's so well-rounded. There we go. That was the word I was looking for. That I don't know if I would pick him even if he had an advantage in something in like this fight, that it would be enough for him to get the win off of it. And I think Daniel Rodriguez has a good enough advantage in the striking to where he'll win this matchup. So I'm gonna go with Daniel Rodriguez. This is a fight for sure. Julia Polastri versus Cory Mckenna. I'm gonna go with Julia Polastri. This is a short notice fight, but she has more finishing potential than Cory Mckenna, and that's really the only thing I'm kind of going off of here. It's just hard to predict these kind of matchups, to be honest. I'm just really surprised this is even on the main card, to be honest. Like you could have put Themba on here. Like I'm surprised they didn't put Themba, Gorimbo, and Niko Price on the main card. Anyways, Grant Dawson versus Rafa Garcia. Now Rafa Garcia's got a couple wins in the UFC by now. He's on a little bit of a streak, but still, like he's just the winning decisions, like nothing crazy, and he's not showing much like finishing ability. And I don't think if you can't finish Grant Dawson on the feet or pose a lot of problems to him on the feet, I don't think you can beat him. So I think Grant Dawson in the grappling just overall is way better than Rafa Garcia. So I'm gonna have to go with Grant Dawson on this one, probably by submission or just a UD. I don't think, yeah, I don't think Rafa Garcia's been finished in the UFC, has he? Yeah, he hasn't been finished. Um, but I could see a submission or a UD here for Grant Dawson. Odds definitely reflect this. Brad Tavares versus Jung Young Park. This one hurts my soul a little bit because it's more of another heart to brain one. But for this one, I think I'm gonna have to go with the brain pick. So Jung Young Park is a very decent middleweight fighter. He has some pretty good striking and he's very proficient in the grappling, I'd say. But he's fighting Brad Tavares, who has the best takedown defense in the middleweight. He's not going down. You could shoot as many takedowns, unless you're Hamzat Chimaev. You could shoot as many takedowns as you want, Brad, and you're not gonna get it. And I don't really think if I hold on, let's see if it actually pulls up the stats here. Yeah, like I just think that with the size here, it's gonna be hard for Jung Young Park to even get anything off on the striking here. And I just think that unless Brad Tavares' chin is cooked, the Iron Turtle is only going to get given by KO because I don't think he's getting Brad Tavares down. So I'm going to have to go with Brad Tavares by either unanimous decision or KO. But I think unanimous decision is a bit more of a probable chance. So we can go with Brad Tavares in the co-main event. What a co-main event. It's a joke, by the way. Getting into the main event matchup here, Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira. I think the odds should be a little bit closer for this fight than they're projected as. I do think Tatsuro Taira is going to win, but I think that Royval has a lot of attributes that could lead to him getting a victory in this fight. He has way better striking than anyone that Tatsuro Taira has ever fought. Taira is getting tagged pretty extensively by Perez. Edgar Chairez, was that his name? I don't want to mess that name up. He fought Von Edgar Chairez, right? Yeah, got caught a couple times by Edgar Chairez. So Royval could definitely catch Tatsuro Taira on the feet, but I think that Royval's takedown defense is where he's gonna lose this matchup. Now, Royval has some very good scrambling and he's very good off the bottom. He was able to take Pantoja on top of him, but Pantoja wasn't really trying to. He was just kind of holding Brandon Royval down. He wasn't really advancing position a lot. I think Tatsuro Taira is probably this is gonna be a hot take, but I think he is the best grappler in the division right now. So I think once he gets Royval down, it's gonna be surprising how quick he is able to submit Brandon Royval. And I think that's what's gonna happen. I think Taira is gonna get Royval down and submit him either in the first or the second round. I just think he's so dominant on the ground. I think he just has a way to get to your back and then just submit you. And being the shorter guy, Royval's tall, lengthy. I think he'll be able to find a way to the back or get an arm bar or something like that, triangle choke. What would be crazy if Taira KO'd Royval? That would be insane. He'd be like a championship contender right then and there. I mean, he's getting a title shot off of us anyways. But yeah, let me know what you think about my predictions in the comments. Going to hopefully get a post-fight prediction post-fight reaction for this card. Said that for the last two predictions I've done, but I didn't do it, lol. But yeah, this is Toast MMA signing out.